Now, you can stream Good Things live over at supertalk.fm, or you can watch and listen to the show. And if you're watching today at SuperTalk TV, you'll see I'm not alone in the studio on this Monday afternoon. I've got a packed house, and all for good reason. So joining us today is Miss Kelly Mott. She's with the Mississippi Food Network. I've also got a teacher, a fourth grade teacher, Miss Jennifer Dukes from St. Anthony Catholic School. And I've got two students join me, James and Josie. They are fourth graders at St. Anthony's. And this is all because September, although it's on the last leg of September, Kelly, it's still Hunger Action Month, which has been a busy month for you guys there at the Food Network to get out your, at least, mission and raise awareness. So first, welcome, everyone. But Kelly, I'm going to kick it off with you. Okay, I talk a lot here on Good Things about Mississippi Food Network and the fact that it's our only Feeding America food bank in the state, but you help us unpack that. What does that mean?
Sure. I always like to start it off by telling people that we have such a large service area. We cover 56 counties in the state of Mississippi, and those are a lot of rural counties. And specifically today, we are talking about we provide food and distribute food through our partner agencies. It takes a village to feed all the hungry children, adults, and families in Mississippi. And September is Hunger Action Month, and so we have been busy out and about in the community trying to make people aware that there is a need right here in our own backyard, in our own state, that our friends and neighbors sometimes do need food, and we are here to help and get that food out. And it does take a village to do that. We have such great partners with our Junior League, which is how our guest we met today and through her school, and we are just happy to be here with you today to talk about this great project that these kids are doing.
One thing I want to just talk about, though, Kelly, is when we use the word hunger, I think for so many it feels like a far cry from what maybe you see on TV when you turn on and see like third world hunger or whatever it may be. And it's this weird disassociation with looking around us and thinking, well, I don't see starving people, on our streets or in my, in my worship places of worship, or maybe even in my workplace. So when we use the word hunger, I mean, what are we kind of talking about in terms of food insecurity? What may that actually look like that we can't see on the surface?
Well, unfortunately, Mississippi is known as the hungriest state in the nation, and that hunger is related to poverty, but not always. And that's really this past year and a half through the pandemic has really opened our eyes at the food bank too. These are not, as you would say, poor people who aren't working or don't have a job. Yes, those people are there. But as you said, that person needing a little help, a helping hand that can go to a food pantry, either at school or in their community or at their church. The pandemic has shown that a lot of people are just one paycheck away in needing some help. And that's what we're here for. We're to help people get back on their feet, provide a hot meal for your grandmother, your child, your aunt, or your uncle. So
And it's to bridge the gap. I think some of the misconceptions, too, is that people go and get an entire grocery cart full of groceries at their food bank, and that's just not the case. It's usually, a very modest amount of food that just helps, again, bridge that gap and fill in the holes where maybe, someone's struggling a little bit from month to month. So I always like to at least continue to open our eyes to maybe what really hunger looks like, because it's not what you think it should look like in terms of needing your help. There's people who are not making their ends meet or having to make hard decisions every month with the finances they do have, and food shouldn't be one that they have to compromise on, especially when it comes to kids. And I've got some great kids in the studio today. Okay, Jennifer, you are a fourth grade teacher at St. Anthony Catholic School in Madison. How did you guys connect with the Mississippi Food Network, or how did you first learn of their mission?
So when I was volunteering with the Junior League of Jackson, I co-chaired the backpack program for the Junior League. And I just, as an educator, knowing that students are hungry, it's hard to succeed at school if you're hungry and you're worried about what am I going to eat this weekend. You know, no 9-year-old's going to be able to sit and focus on math if they're hungry. And so the program really spoke to me as an educator and as a parent that I wanted my kids, my family, to be able to help with this. And after that, I went back to teaching. And I really wanted to bring it to the school because we try and focus on service as a school and getting our students involved hands-on. How can we help our community? And they don't necessarily know, as you said, that hunger exists in our community, that these are people who may be on your baseball team, you're playing with them at the park, and you don't know that they don't have what they need when they go home. And so I really was looking for a way to get our students to know that this is a need that exists and that they can help the kids down the street. It's not far away. These are kids that they interact with who have a need, and just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
Totally agree. And so what led you to actually the backpack program, and how did you connect that with your students in your classroom?
So the great thing about the Mississippi Food Network is the backpack program has been around for a while. It's so well organized. All we had to do was sort of sign up, and they have a plan. You know, they know how to connect us with where the schools are that have need. And it's so well structured that we could kind of walk into the program and provide that hands-on experience for our students with logistics and everything taken care of by the Food Network, who really knows what they're doing and knows how to help.
And knows how to help. And then, okay, so I got James and Josie with me here on Good Things Today as well. When was the first time you heard about maybe there's a hunger problem around your friends here in Mississippi, James?
Probably when I learned about the backpack program.
Mm-hmm. And what did you learn about the backpack program? That it would help kids just like you with maybe getting some food that they needed? Yes. Mm-hmm. Did you get to help pack the backpacks?
Yes.
What all went into the backpacks?
Some fresh fruit, some
milk,
yes,
cereal,
milk,
some fun things like that. Josie, why don't you grab that mic and tell us what all did you pack in your backpacks?
So there were a lot of like breakfasts, cereals, and milks and that kind of things. So just make sure that the kids have healthier foods. And there were some dinners like jambalaya and some red beans and rice and that kind of stuff.
And that kind of stuff. Was it fun being able to put the packets together?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have to do like teamwork there with your classmates to be able to do it?
Yes, ma'am. So there was like a row of people, and your teacher got to call you up, and then you got to go in the row, buy all the food, and put each food in the bag.
Each food in the bag. Okay, well, you made it sort of like a team effort there, Jennifer. You took it, into the classroom. You made it a working effort for all the kids to do the kits. How many kits did y'all do?
So we're doing 40 every week. So this is, I think, the third week that we've done it. And it's been great because we've also got our parents involved in terms of delivering the food and bringing in things to supplement what the Food Network provides, so that we're doing the fresh fruit and some other snacks that the kids might enjoy that they might not otherwise have access to.
So, Kelly, when you're listening, or when they're listening to Good Things and we're talking about the Child Backpack Program, how big is that program overall for Mississippi Food Network?
So we provide about 2,000 backpack meals a week. And this year we're just now getting it kicked off in some of the schools. And I wanted to let your viewers know, for those who don't understand how the backpack program works. At the beginning of the school year, the teachers find out what children that are attending the school might need a little extra help. So at the beginning of the year, each student is given a beautiful backpack. This year they're green. They're very nondescript. And so each Friday, the child knows to bring that backpack to school. They drop it off in the morning, and before they go home for the weekend, a little snack bag full of food to get them through the weekend is provided. And in some of the schools, too, we have found through the program that perhaps sometimes the children are going home and sharing that food with a sibling or with a parent. And so we are also implementing school pantries, so that the moms and dads and other family members can come in and go shopping with us.
So many good things. We're going to continue our conversation with Mississippi Food Network and more coming up next here on Good Things. back and welcoming you back to Good Things. It is rounding out September, although we felt like fall last year, but also last week, a local meteorologist said it best, said fall has left the conversation for this week. We were back to summer-like temperatures, but even the same, September is on its way out, but it's still Hunger Action Month for a few more days, which means that the Mississippi Food Network and many other local organizations across the state are just getting out their awareness about the fact that we do have friends and family here in Mississippi that struggle with food-related insecurities and hunger. And I have to say, too, Kelly, if someone listening is like, man, I am integrated into my local food bank or food pantry, should I say, Mississippi Food Network is the only food bank, but food pantry, there is a good chance that they are connected, especially if it's with a church or a local community organization or community center, that you are helping an organization that's connected to the Food Network, right? Because the network is the big distribution point where the local food pantries in all of our communities are the one that's actually handing out the food to the patrons. Does that sometimes get confused in the conversation?
It does. So a lot of people do confuse a food bank to a food pantry. And the way I like to explain it to people is we are a giant warehouse distribution center. We bring the food in that we purchase, that is donated. We do get USDA product that we distribute back out into the communities. It's those churches that run food pantries and nonprofit agencies, Boys and Girls Clubs, those are the boots on the ground. They know the needs of the people in their communities. We are here to provide the food for them to meet those needs. And you are right. There, we touch over 430 nonprofits in the state that we help.
You're right. And that's out there, like you mentioned, boots on the ground doing it. And it also comes back to just everyday people who may not run a food pantry, but they may run a classroom, which is probably just as crazy some days. Jennifer, and I love this. So you work with fourth graders, again, there at St. Anthony Catholic School. And I am curious, when you bring up this topic of the fact that, your students may have friends or family members, on their ball field or, in their dance class or just even in their place of worship, that may be struggling with hunger. How do you explain that to a fourth grader?
And it's hard because if it's not something you've personally experienced, it's kind of removed from you. And so we talk about how hunger is not just that your mom doesn't have your favorite kind of cookie in the closet when you want it, but that it's a child who goes home and especially towards the end of the month wonders, is there going to be anything in the refrigerator really? And that's a stress. And if we can help that one person for whatever reason, especially during the pandemic with everything having gone topsy-turvy, that there are just a lot of people who everything's a lot more uncertain for. And so if we can take that stress off of other students, kids just like the ones that I teach, that if they can help a neighbor in their community, they're making a big difference.
Josie, what does it mean to you to be able to make a big difference to some of your friends in your community?
Well, just thinking that there's kids right down the road that don't have food is really just heartbreaking. So it feels really good to you, and thinking that you're helping one kid that doesn't have food over the weekend, and it makes you feel really happy and glad inside.
So I know every week you guys are packing 40 backpacks to be sent out to other kids that are just your age, up to the same things you do. Would you enjoy eating the snacks that you put in the backpacks?
I would enjoy that. I feel like we have lots of healthy foods in there and good little snacks in there that kids would enjoy.
Would you share with your siblings?
I would definitely share with my siblings.
James, would you share with your siblings?
Yes, I would definitely share with my siblings.
I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a no, thank you. But that's okay. It's yours it would be yours to be able to do with what you would want. So, I mean, you gave the right answer, James. But Kelly, you did mention that sometimes we do see that. We do see that these kids are going home and taking the backpacks and sort of sharing those. And you're trying to reach that through the school pantries, but you're also trying to reach our more rural communities through these mobile mobile pantries. And I know that's kind of an interesting way to get the food to those who need it most. Share a little bit about that program.
Sure. We sponsor several mobile food pantries across the state. We have one sponsored by Tyson. We have a mobile food pantry coming up this Thursday in Carthage. We have some other mobile food pantries sponsored by health insurance organizations, Kroger, Mars Foods. So for those, and it's amazing how word travels fast. We get there early. We have all of our boxes of food. We usually feed about 350 to 500 families with each mobile food pantry. So we are trying to keep it still COVID friendly and COVID safe. People are in line. They pop their trunks. We put boxes of food in for their families, and we get there early, say 8 o'clock, and there may be 10, 15, 20 cars already lined up, and these folks have been lined up since 6 a.m. And it's heartbreaking at times, too, to see that the lines don't just end. We have to stop it and tell people that we'll be back here again at a certain time this month. But we love to have volunteers come and see what we do and to help us, because it takes a village to do the mission that we set out to do.
We had someone who had a fair question on the text line, which, I think many listening to Good Things, sometimes we wrestle when we look outside and we see our neighbors, particularly in a state that also is deemed the most unhealthiest or, carries the highest rates of obesity. How are you hungry? Or maybe, too, when you have programs like SNAP or some of the other supplemental programs that sort of help bridge those gaps for some families, how do you still have like a hunger problem? And I would encourage you just to realize it's a little more complicated than that, and that it's just not that cut and dry. For a lot of families, they don't necessarily qualify for some of the benefits.
It is, and you don't have to make a lot of money to not qualify. And that's really where we feel like we are trying to bridge that gap. There, we have a SNAP outreach coordinator that works with us to help families when they're applying. There are government delays. People are waiting a month to get their benefits. They can't wait a month to eat. That's where we come in.
Right. And I think, too, it's just taking a big, deep breath and sort of remembering that not every story is a story of trying to juice the system or to do something wrong. With every headline that reads that way, you're going to have actual human beings who are just trying their best to, put one foot in front of the other, or to bridge a gap between a hard time of being laid off and getting back on their feet, or losing the matriarch of a family due to COVID or anything like that puts you through a tailspin. I mean, we're not here to sort of judge. We're here to sort of just call to sort of help. And, your kids aren't going to be able to make the grade if they can't have the energy to have in classroom, which I think, Jennifer, you would be, at least, if not for the parents, do it for the kids and the teachers, correct?
Exactly. And that's sort of what we focus on with our students, is that you're helping other kids. However you feel about anything else, these kids have not made any decisions that would impact, whether they have food at home or not. And so if we can help them, they're the real, they're innocent kids, and we want them to succeed. And if we want to help our state move forward, our kids need to succeed in school. And to succeed in school, you have to have your basic needs met. And so if we can help with that, we're helping those kids, and we're helping the state too.
James, is math easier when you've had a good, solid breakfast in the morning?
Definitely.
Okay, Josie, what's your last plea to tell someone that they should get involved with the Mississippi Food Network from your perspective?
Well, from my perspective, giving to the hungry is just an amazing deed. And if you think of all the deeds that God has given to us, then this is just a tiny speck of all the things that He's given us.
Well, Miss Josie.
I think she's going to have your job one day, Rebecca.
I think she is too, and maybe yours too, Kelly. You're doing pretty good, Miss Jennifer. And again, kudos to everything you're doing there with your school, St. Anthony Catholic School. And real quick, where do we go if we want more information on the Food Network, Kelly?
If you will check us out online, our website at msfoodnet.org, you can donate, volunteer your time, and find out more about all of our programs.
All righty, you guys stick with us. We've got more good for you coming.